I think that's only American, and I think it's a good thing to do. And I think it's a smart thing for us to do. It'll save us money, and it will be able to allow people a second chance and a new, fresh start. And so that's why we're sponsoring this legislation. We want to see it all the way through. You know, I've been asked if we are doing this and whether or not they want to pass. I will say this to you as chair of the Black Caucus and as a senior member of the Michigan legislature. I don't put bills out that I don't think can get passed. So I'm going to work like heck on this, and folks need to understand that the entire Black Caucus and the rest of us out here are going to be working. I'm sure we have friends on both sides of the aisle who will understand where we're coming from. This is not about taking criminals and letting them fly loose in the street. It's preventative. It's about stopping people from becoming criminals. You know, my mom used to tell me this. She said, if you keep both hands busy, they stay out of trouble. And this banning the box is an opportunity for us to be able to allow returning citizens to keep both hands busy in a positive way, to contribute to society rather than extract from. So I look forward to all of you supporting this bill. We're asking the Michigan legislature to do that. I'll be talking with the governor as well and members of his cabinet about being able to take this legislation and march with it. I think it's a no-brainer. But sometimes with folks, you have to help them get to the brain part. And so I don't have a problem talking about it and trying to make it go. I just think that it's something that should have been done some time ago, and now we have the opportunity to do it, and we will get it done. Thank you.
Sheila Burtley up to the podium. Sheila Burtley has been through the experience as a party into the criminal justice system, and she's going to share her experience.
Hello, my name is Sheila Burtley. I was incarcerated for 10 years for a nonviolent offense. I've been home for 10 years. Coming home, it was very hard trying to find a job, going into places, filling out applications, knowing that when I walked out the door, I could hear people behind me. She's a felon. I'll just put that over there. I've worked on jobs where applications, when you're a convicted felon, your application is ignored because you're a convicted felon. I am currently in search of a job. I applied for a job the other day online, and I was called for an interview because I sent an outstanding resume, outstanding reference letter. The employment, they were interested in me based on that paperwork. Well, when I called about the job to tell them that I was interested in the interview, they asked you these 5 questions. And one of those questions was, are you a convicted felon? I'm like, yes, I'm a convicted felon. 20 years ago, I committed that crime. And today, I'm explaining that crime to get a job. I asked Monica, I said, should I call these people back? Because I just strongly feel that I'm not getting this job because I answered that question, yes, I'm a convicted felon. So I called the lady yesterday. I haven't even told Monica this yet. I called yesterday. This is for an assistant management position. She had my file, my paperwork, my resume, my reference letter, once again, outstanding. Totally interested in me. Well, she said, well, did I ask you a series of questions? I said, yes. I didn't want to volunteer any of the questions that she asked me. I wanted her to ask me those questions again. So she asked me the questions again. So she hadn't asked me about the convicted felon. Before asking me about the convicted felon, she says to me, did I ask you, just like that, not wanting to ask me that felony question, did I ask you that convicted felon? And I said, yes. She says, well, someone contacted you. This was her second time. The same lady, her second time telling me that a recruiter would contact me for this position. The interviews are being taken place on the 19th, so if I was to get an interview, it would have either taken place yesterday or hopefully even today. So I stand here before to tell you all that it's a very awful feeling, you know, when you're out here and you're really trying to do the right thing. Coming home from prison, it has not been easy. I mean, trying to find a job because of being a convicted felon. I'm not here saying roll out a red carpet for us convicted felons. However, I am saying, you know, we deserve an opportunity to be able to go in and sit before an employer and have that interview and be able to sell ourselves based on our qualifications, based on our skills. And I strongly support the ban in the box. We need that. We need that taken off the applications to help other fellows come home. We come home from prison and we have all these responsibilities. We have parole fees, we have tether fees, we have all these different fees that we can't pay because we can't get a job. So that's where that recidivism comes into play. So I just hope that the Black Caucus, all the supporters, Monica Jainer, Northwest Initiative, I believe that we will win this as long as we all stand strong, stick together, and like myself, I haven't given up, and I'm not going to give up. So if I'm not going to give up, I know y'all not going to give up on me. With that being said,
Thank you, Sheila. Does anybody have any questions?
Now, is the bill exempt jobs where you cannot be a convicted felon to get the job?
Absolutely. The ones that are on statute, those we're not even, that's not even in the agenda. We just want the jobs that aren't by statute.
Scoopy here, and I know Scoopy is outside, but if any other members of the press are ready, would like to ask some questions, I'd be happy to answer what we can.
As far as you know, is this a policy that's been adopted in any other states?
It has, actually. There's 5 other states right now that currently have it. Massachusetts is really going strong. They got the Corey Act, which is the ban the box in that state. And now I just read recently, now they're going to cap how long they can use a felony against you in their legislation. So yes, Hawaii, Massachusetts, Minnesota, New York's got some stuff in the works. So yeah, there is a lot of other states that are in the works to adopt state statute. And we do have ordinances in Michigan. Detroit has one, Saginaw has one, and Kalamazoo.
Correct.
Battle Creek, right.
What kind of impact has the measure had in the power in the city of Detroit since the enactment? I think it was Michael.
So I was really hoping that I was going to have a couple of the people that were part of that legislation. But they're going through, they just started it out.
Right.
So right now we don't have a whole lot of statistics. They're still working out the stuff. So we can't really give you a lot of
Well, not necessarily statistically, but has been an impact.
It is making an impact. That's what they're telling me. I talked to City Councilman Pugh, and he said that he's very impressed with so far, but they still got a lot of issues with human resources and that different type of thing. But I have talked to them, and they're very excited about what's going to happen in Detroit.
Let me talk about that a little bit further. We've had professional athletes, Gates Brown, for the Detroit Tigers, and Vinny Johnson for the Detroit Pistons, and Bill Lampier. All of these guys, after retiring, set up companies, and the companies that they set up had no problem hiring individuals who had been incarcerated before. And I'm talking about guys who are not just little businesses, but these are modern big businesses. And what has happened is that if these guys can take a look at the redemption of the person, I think that the rest of society needs to be able to do that as well. You know, we've all been primed by the crowd that wants wants to lock them up and throw the key away. And I think that we need to continue to understand that these are human beings we're talking about. And it is not easy. Yes, a person committed a crime and they should be punished for the crime that they commit. But after they have done that and served their time, they deserve to come back into society and be able to pick up the pieces. Because it's hard enough. The stigma has always been, well, we created the stigma. We created the stigma. And if it's ever going to get removed, we're going to be the ones to remove it. And we can't approach human beings with an always and forever, black and white, dyed in iron way, because people are not like that. We have all of us, no matter whether we're incarcerated or not, whether we're state reps or not, all of us have good days and bad days. And I think that we have to understand that everybody in society here in America, you may agree, you may not agree. I don't care whether you do or not. My position is simply this. As a legislator, I believe in fairness. I believe in fundamental fairness. And I think that once a person has served their time in one of our institutions, that they should not be forever banned from having a job. That is crazy. I think what folk ought to be able to do, and I'm working on some other innovative ways which I can discuss with you momentarily. We're talking about getting people out of prison who are nonviolent prisoners and putting them on tethers. Why in the hell should we be paying $34,000 a year to lock up a person for selling marijuana? That is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and guess what? The state of Michigan cannot afford that. We have a $1.9 billion budget in corrections. That's the third largest budget in the entire state. We can't keep doing this. And what we have to do is develop some viable alternatives. So I have a task force now where we're looking at that whole issue of how to tether. And if we can GPS a car, and if we can take a GPS a phone, a hand phone, we can GPS people the same way. And we can monitor their activities. And I think we should, and we can do it at a cheaper cost. Let me give you an example. Anybody in here know how much it costs to tether a person? How much is it, sir? $5 a day. $5 a day.
$800 a year.
That's
Where are they going to get the money if they can't get the job?
listen, you're talking where I'm talking. But here, when I juxtapose what it is really $5,711 a year versus $34,000. Now, it doesn't take Rhodes scholarships to be able to figure out that there's a hell of a difference between those two figures, and we ought to be looking at ways to make things a little bit more comfortable for us in terms of being able to pay for this stuff, but also be able to continue to have people serve their sentences if in fact they have been convicted. Now, this is dealing with once that conviction is all over with and the person has come out of the legal system. You know, imagine, if you will, yourselves, first day you're out from prison. What do you do? What do you do? You go to apply for a job at McDonald's. Little job at McDonald's, busting hamburgers. They won't hire you because you've been busted before. You take that and go to the neighborhood car wash. You know the guys that scrub your car clean and clean your car out and dry it when it's wet. And they can't get hired because they have a felony. The car wash, which is probably paying for nothing but minimum wage, just like a McDonald's job. And so you tell a person who has been in an institution where there are people who have done much worse than that particular person may have done. Murder, rape, kidnapping, criminal sexual conduct in the third degree. And then you tell people, well, we're not going to ever hire you just because you've been busted. How many of you in this room have ever had a traffic ticket? Raise your hand. If you ever got a traffic ticket, raise your hand. Listen, what would happen if we stopped you from driving because you had one ticket? You would raise holy heck, wouldn't you? You would think that was the most unfair thing in the world. That's the same thing that these guys face on a daily basis. Only it's worse because they have families. support. I don't know this young lady, but I can bet you this, if she has a family to support, her bills are still her bills, just like my bills are mine and yours are yours. The babies have to eat. The parents have to be the ones to make sure they can eat. And if we are saying, we don't want you because you made a mistake 20 years ago, I think we can do better than that in this state, and I think we can do better than that in this country. And that's one of the reasons that led me to want to sponsor this. I don't believe in, if you look at my history of sponsoring legislation, you will see one of two things. One, that I don't do a whole lot of it, but that two, once I do it, it gets passed. So I'm expecting this to be passed. I expect there to be a vigorous conversation about this. I expect that there will be debates about it. And I'm up for that. But I think beyond the theatrics and the strategies and politicking that's going to be necessary, there is a realism there. And the realism is, what if it were you? What would you do if you were in that situation?
I want to piggyback on that. I speak both professionally and personally. I'm the daughter, I'm the daughter of a federal inmate. And I know that when my dad came out of prison about 15 years ago with a PhD in education, he was unable to find a job. He had a minimum wage job. And if he hadn't had an old friend that gave him a job in Detroit, he drove from Lansing to Detroit every day to wash dishes in a restaurant. If he hadn't had my home to come back to and that job, graciously given to him by some old friends, he wouldn't have made it. He would have been back, he would have been reincarcerated within 6 to 12 months, I can guarantee you that. He came out of prison with fines and debts and absolutely no money. He was very lucky to have us on the outside to help him with things like getting the state ID and all of that, those things that are very difficult. And if it hadn't been for the support that he got from us and from these friends, he wouldn't have made it. That's my personal stance. I talk a lot about this because of my personal experiences. I've done a lot of trainings, and my focus is on families and children. I'm an early interventionist in Ingham County, and I home visit in families with young children. Many, many, many families I visit have 1 or 2 parents with criminal records. I've experienced firsthand what it's like for them to try to, first of all, they can't live in public housing. They can't get financial aid to go to school. They often are banned from getting any sort of assistance from the state. And if they can't find a job, what are they supposed to do? There's absolutely no answer. What are they supposed to do? And I see the struggles of these people trying to reunify with their children and fix their broken families. And getting a job is the first step. And these are good people that have, most of them, minor crimes years ago and are still struggling. And when I explain it to people to try to get them to be on board, I like to look at it like, what would you do in your family? If you have a teenager that steals your car or skips school or does drugs or makes a mistake, do you just ban them for life from your family and say, well, you messed up, that's it, you're done, you have no second chance? Of course not. Of course you're not going to do that to your own family member. You're going to give them an appropriate consequence, you're going to help them to make amends for their action, and then you're going to give them another chance and continue to be part of your family. And I believe that society is just one big family, and it's the same thing. If we do not give people another chance, a chance to make amends, and a chance to have to start over again, there's nowhere for them to go. So when I talk to people about this, I try to put them in that context of what would this be like if this was your child, your son, your family? Would you just cast them out? Probably not.
Well, I agree, and I think, like I said, we ban the box question because I think it's totally irrelevant to where a person is now. I think if we're talking about hiring people in financial situations, there are ways of getting around it. For example, that a person has been convicted of and doesn't, okay? Naturally, a bank wouldn't want to touch it, okay, that should have been done some time ago, and now we have the opportunity to do it. And